is Taylor Anthony McClellan, born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri. Been like drawing, mostly like pencil drawings and markers and stuff since I could like hold a utensil. I do marker on like wood or canvas also, but I do like a lot of people's like apparel, shoes, shirts, leather jackets. I make buttons and like rings and stuff like that too. So my pops was an artist, and so he like got me drawing stuff early. So it became a like mode of therapy for me. And like when I was younger, also I felt like ignored a lot. I felt like I didn't get like I would talk and then people would just like mid me talking start talking, and that kind of like forced me inside kind of myself a little bit. And I used that as like my expression, or like when I went to a place I didn't like, or just needed a comforting zone, that's what I went to. I think that like a lot of it is kind of a culmination of a lot of stuff that I like that it probably doesn't even really go together usually. So like I have like a weird hyper focus on hands that I do, but then I illustrate them in more like abstract positions. I make them devils or angels, or like make the hand an actual person. And I think it's because it's like a simplification of actions and speaking, you know what I mean? It's like those are the first things that in my opinion you think of when you like think of a hand. What do you use it for? Like it's without words, it's like just something that creates. I use a lot of like pastels. I do graffiti. I do like I make my own kind of like weird wood grain pattern thing, kind of like bring that all into like one piece. And usually it's speaking towards like something that I've gone through, or something that I feel like resonates with people kind of overall. Maybe like, I don't know, some weird experience, or like a quote that's I feel like is very prominent, or very like, it affects people a lot. I use those, like all of those different mediums to kind of try to express that. I don't know, I just like old things, like vintage cars and just old fashion, old music is a thing for me. So like that's just kind of representative of my nostalgia, especially when it comes to the internet. And so yeah, it's representative of that. And then also how like things on the internet, or how your hands and like words can become an incendiary device when it comes to like the internet. Things become like heightened really quickly because they're like void of actual emotion. Something that I quote all the time is, art is meant to comfort the disturbed or disturb the comfortable. And I think that it kind of speaks to that. Like it's playful, but it's also like a really dangerous thing, you know what I mean? And that's kind of what these were for me. Spiders are representative spiritually of like creativity and wealth, and like people who, or if like one crossed your path or something like that, is supposed to speak to maybe like the way that you're going about building your life, weaving your web, and then the light bulb represents ideas. So it kind of just made sense to me to do it that way. And also purple is like more a spiritual color, kind of resonates high, and I think that's cool. I think some of the biggest obstacles have been more like self-initiated. They're more so like me not being patient enough with myself, me not giving myself like enough credit on things that I've done when they haven't turned out maybe exactly the way I wanted them to. Or just having the patience to stay consistent, making sure that even though I'm not like entirely satisfied with what I've done at the time, knowing that that's progress, and that's like getting me to somewhere I want to be eventually. You do something and you think it's gonna be tight, and then it's not tight, and then you're like, I swore this was gonna be cooler. You don't know whether to quit or like start it over, you know, put a bunch more time in it. Maybe it'll turn out shitty again. Maybe it won't. Like, maybe it'll turn out what you wanted it to be. So like that weird disconnect, like kind of haunts me. Like anytime I'm starting a piece or like, you know, I have an idea for something. That's mostly, I think, the struggle I go through. I have two jobs. I work retail at the North Face, and then I work as barback at Char Bar in Westport. A lot of my like peers, they're either on one end of the spectrum or the other. Either they're pretty corporate driven, they want to like 9 to 5. They kind of have a set goal as far as that goes. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, I have friends who are strictly artists for money. Like one of my best friends is a tattoo artist. One of my best friends makes music. I have a few friends who actually make beats. Some friends who rap and sing and stuff like that, and they're like making it lucrative, and that's always been a dream of mine. As far as like something that fulfills me and then also like rewards me monetarily, I feel like that would be the perfect lane for me. I think my future goals mainly are to transpose these to like mural sized art pieces. I like to like see these on, you know, sides of buildings, giant walls, people's living rooms, stuff like that. I like to travel and definitely put my stuff up overseas, like in that same vein, making murals overseas or selling smaller pieces if possible, prints and things of that nature. Creating as much custom artwork as I can. Definitely, you know, like leave an impact, and I would definitely want to leave an impact on Kansas City. Like, it's my home. It's, you know, the place I love. It's the place I grew up. I want to like I want to see at least my stuff around the city and like be somebody that can be an inspiration to, you know, another generation of artists. Like as the city begins to grow and become more kind of like attract more attention, get more tourists, become more corporate driven, there was a lot of like, I don't know, there was a lot of art that I didn't enjoy myself. There's a lot of like the scene that was kind of like stuffy and not fun to be around, in my opinion. But I think things are like becoming like more street artists and underground artists that haven't been big before, like Scribe and, you know, Psych, people who've been doing it since I was like in middle school or high school or whatever. Like new people are starting to become like big, and new street people, new like underground artists are getting attention. So I like that. It's pretty cool. I feel like when you think of art as like a culture of a thing, or if you think of it like in the current sense, it's more like high art, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, or people strive towards that lane of art more so than street art. Like you're trying to make thousands of dollars off of your art, whereas like when you think of street art, you don't assume that it's going to be, you know what I mean? Maybe hundreds, maybe, you know, maybe. And I think that getting more attention and like being uplifted more and gaining a scene is like, that's the kind of thing I live for. That's like, for me, it's always been a thing. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I liked finding new music that I didn't know people were listening to, or I shop thrift stores for stuff like that I wouldn't see in a mall or in a, you know, in a online or something like that. So like that kind of fringe thing where it's like becoming a thing, but it's not like super, super popular. It's like right up my alley.